Just after 12 o'clock, welcome to Central Valley Talk, and happy July. It is July 1st. Can you believe that? Thursday here in 2021, 6 months into this year. That is amazing. It's unbelievable. I am Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Give me a follow, Austin Reed on air, and I will follow you as well. Man, we're going to be live and local until just after 4:30 today. We've got like 15 guests packed into the shows, and we're so happy that you're with us. My first guest is Jeff. He is the new CEO at Valley PBS, KVPT. Channel 18. Hi, Jeff.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's exciting. I always love to come down here.
All right, so I know I don't think we've ever met. We may have
I
just
thought
in
we
passing.
did. I think it's an email name thing, but
possibly.
You looked really familiar.
Yeah.
I've obviously seen you on here, but in person, I was like, man, I thought we
may
met.
have.
I think so.
We may have.
Yeah.
So tell everybody your story. I want to kind of start from the beginning, because this new venture at Valley PBS is fairly new.
It is, and so I'm a Valley guy, kind of. Grew up in Bass Lake, California. I've been working in television pretty much since I was 18 years old. My first television job was over in San Luis Obispo at KSBY TV. Came back to the Valley in the late 80s, worked at Channel 47 in the promotion department there. And then I went on this world tour kind of thing. You do this in the television industry. You do these market hopping. And so I market hopped all over the place, kind of going up the ladder. Worked in Charlotte, North Carolina. Came back to Sacramento and worked at KXTV in Sacramento.
Oh, Channel 10,
Yeah, Channel 10. And then I went to Dallas, and I worked at the Fox-owned station there. Did a lot of cool stuff with the Dallas Cowboys, even though I'm a diehard Raiders fan. That was a little hard.
I bet.
That was cool, but I got to work with Pat Summerall, producing a local sports show he did.
Very cool.
Then back to San Francisco. I was a senior producer at KPIX-TV in San Francisco for a while.
Channel 5,
I went to work for Channel 5. Then I went to work for the CNN sort of affiliate in Phoenix.
Okay.
And then it was time to come home. I missed my mountains. I missed the Sierra Nevadas. I missed hiking and fishing up there, and my friends and family. So came back and worked at 47 for a little bit when I came back, and then ended up going to Channel 30 in 2000. And I had a great career at Channel 30, the Walt Disney Company, working as the program, marketing, and production manager at Channel 30. And then in about 2009, 2010, Disney started a new network called the Live Well Network.
Yeah.
And that was on their digital 2 space on all their own stations. So they tapped me to do a couple of TV shows for that. And when I did that, I sort of off-ramped out of the station and went home and worked for the Live Well Network directly. I did a travel show called Motion with my brother Greg as the host, and I did a food show with Joey Fatone from NSYNC called My Family Recipe Rocks, and we did that for 3 seasons and 60 episodes.
That's crazy. How was that working with Joey?
That was crazy. That was a little wild, right? Joey's still a good friend of mine today, and actually comes to Fresno quite a bit to hang out. And,
really?
Yeah. He likes to go camping up in the Sierras.
Okay.
Because he doesn't get that all the time. But, he working with a guy that was on one of the biggest bands on earth at the time. When you traveled with Joey, and in that show, we went to people's homes around America, and they would cook that dish that they're known for, that they like cooking. It was truly, we just would come into someone's home, and Joey and them would cook, and the guys and I would shoot it. And every town that we went into, because of his popularity, even all these years later, the girls would manage to find out where we were and like to pop in and say hi to Joey while we're having dinner, or he's always had some friends in whatever town you were in. So it was always an adventure shooting with Joey.
Tell me a little bit about why the move to specifically Channel 18 for you.
Well, what happened was the Live Well Network, they sort of decommissioned it in 2014. And so at that point, I had an opportunity to go back and work for KABC in Los Angeles, which is what I was offered, and I didn't really feel like going to LA. And my wife and I, Jill, I said, "Hey, man, let's just start our own production company." I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but when you're working for the mouse, it's really hard to itch that scratch because it's great working for the mouse. And so we finally did it, and we started 1830 Entertainment. And the very first gig that I landed with that job as a production company was a fairly large budget historic documentary called Billy the Kid: New Evidence that aired on National Geographic Channel, and I was working with Kevin Costner. And so I was like, man, I mean, Kevin Costner was our narrator, and he was a co-executive producer with me on that. It was a whole year-long project. After we got through that process, I realized I didn't love cable television. There was something about the storytelling and the way the whole back channel stuff works, the way the network executives work. You know, we didn't tell the story exactly the way it should have been told. We were manufacturing some stuff. That was kind of a bummer for me. So I then started to work with Valley PBS at that time. And we basically did a reboot of Motion with my brother Greg called Outside with Greg Aiello. And that got me into the door with Valley PBS. And I loved PBS. I've always loved PBS, but I loved the kind of storytelling we can do there. You know, I love the no commercial breaks, and I love the kinds of stories the PBS audience likes to watch. And so that Greg and I worked together for a season on that. Then Greg went off to San Diego to do his own thing. We basically reformatted that show into a show called Outside Beyond the Lens, which I host along with 2 other cinematographers. And then we started another show called American Grown: My Job Depends on Ag, which is a really cool ag first-person narrative show. And so I've had this relationship with Valley PBS for 4 or 5 years, 6 years, and had the opportunity this spring with changes that the station has had to deal with. You know, the station's had to deal with some changes the last couple of years. They've had some volatility at the CEO level with a couple of different picks that I don't think were great for the station. And the board came to me just a couple months ago and said, "Hey, can you jump in and work with us here?" Knowing my background and experience in management and television, and it was the right time to do it for me. It was the right time for me to do it, and I felt like it was important for me to give something back to the community to help in that way.
So when you think of when we think of PBS and PBS affiliates across the country, it is a different brand.
Yeah.
You know, compared to the
Commercial
television. But you stepping into this role, how do you want to, and what are your plans as far as taking Channel 18 and making it one of the best PBS stations in the entire country?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what motivated me to do this. As a production-minded person, I come from a production background. I still shoot a lot of our own stuff. You know, I still shoot everything we do. I write and edit our own stuff, so I'm involved hands-on with a lot of that. But one of the frustrations I've had as a Valley PBS viewer is that there wasn't enough local content. And we live in this rich valley with great stories to tell in not just agriculture and not just travel, but in arts and entertainment. And in there's cultural storytelling to do here. We're such a melting pot here in the valley. And so for me, the big initiative here at Valley PBS and working in concert with Nancy Borges, who's our COO. You know, one of the things people need to understand is Nancy has real good PBS institutional background. So she knows how that operation runs. My background is more in production and motivating folks and building up a team and looking at things from a little bit like a 30,000 foot view. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's all about production. It's all about adding new shows that are made right here by our staff and our team. And one of the things I'm really excited about is starting a new franchise. We have a working title on it right now, which I'm not going to share because it's a working title.
That's okay.
But the franchise is really reaching out to local filmmakers throughout the valley. I want to inspire local filmmakers out there, like I used to be and like I still am, to submit work to us and have Valley PBS be a showcase for films that are from all kinds of different angles, but that all tie together in a valley umbrella. And so we're working with some ideas on how to do that, where we get some production funding from a corporation. That money sits in a bucket. We put the promo out. You're a filmmaker. You have this great story you want to tell about whatever it is. You pitch it to us. If we like the pitch, we bring you in. We develop that story just like you would if you were an independent filmmaker going to a big production company or a studio, except we do it with you at Valley PBS. When we think the project is ready to go, we green light it. We give that filmmaker the funds from that bucket to go get it done, and then we can share that final work with our base. So I want to be able to tap programming is a big deal for me. And so we're really retooling the programming lineup at Valley PBS right now. Not just the stuff we make, but stuff that's out there that's available to us from producers all across the country. So the big changes you're going to see are in local production and in an enhanced production portfolio that we're going to bring to people.
Yeah, so it's not going to be just another syndicated PBS station.
No, I mean, you're obviously
the big shows you'll have
as a PBS affiliate, we have to carry a certain amount of that stuff, and a lot of our PBS viewers here, our viewers in the Valley,
they love it. Right?
They love, especially the British dramas and all that stuff, and that's a big ticket stuff. And those are important to have in there. But there are windows of time. One of the things people don't really realize is that our 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. block, Monday through Friday, we're not kids programming there anymore. And not a lot of people know that.
That's because PBS Kids is on your dot too, right?
Well, we moved a lot of programming down there.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So at 2 o'clock now, we've got great programming that we're just starting to kind of tell people about. 2 to 5 in there, great programming. Sometimes it's nature, sometimes it's the show Nature. Like yesterday, we had Finding Your Roots in there. But I want to build that into some sustained programming that people can get familiar with. They know Wednesdays at 2, it's gonna be this show. So we're building that as another block of local programming.
PBS down in San Diego,
Yeah.
they have a whole local news team.
Yep.
Would local news be an option for you guys?
It's one of the things we're talking about right now.
Wow.
So we are in talks with a local AM radio station to tease it about that far. To do some cooperative production that would be news oriented to the Valley and beyond. But yes is the answer to your question.
That's huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
For folks out there that don't know, maybe say they've never watched PBS.
Yeah.
They have not because they just kind of, I don't know, they watch ABC, they watch CBS, they watch Roku,
Yep.
Why tell them to give you guys a chance?
Well, so first of all, the PBS audience is very distinct, right? So when you look at the numbers on a national level, it's a real strong network, but with our older viewers, right? So it's a 55 and older heavy viewership. It's also our viewer base is highly educated. It's an educated base. They on a news front, they like a news like PBS NewsHour that is a lot more middle of the road politically than you've gotten into with commercial or cable television, which is either really left or really right. So PBS likes the PBS NewsHour is there. I think one of the things I'm trying to do with Valley PBS is age the station down a little bit. And so we have a new program that we're going to be offering that we're producing right now. We're just starting to produce it now. That is a new, hip, young, fun version of the old Huell Hauser show.
Oh.
And it is cool. And you're going to see some stuff on that later this summer. And so it's a show that older viewers will like too. And so that kind of programming, we need to mix it up. The kinds of storytelling that can happen on PBS stations is a little bit more thoughtful. It's less prearranged. It's more authentic. These are some of the buzzwords and some of the tones that I think people that get PBS why they're there. There's not you're not going to see Honey Boo Boo on PBS. You're not going to see the Kardashians on PBS. Those shows are fine, and there's people that love watching them. But if we tend to attract folks that are a little bit more thoughtful with the programming or want to learn. PBS one of the hallmarks of PBS is education, and that doesn't just mean children's programming, right? Education and entertainment are big for us, and so a lot of the programming, like American Grown, a locally produced show that we do that's agriculturally based, it is not a show where there's a guy standing in a field telling you how we grow asparagus with his overalls on. That's not that show. This show is a first-person narrative docuseries that's got a lot of production value on it. But the design of a show like that is for you to get to know the people that are behind the agriculture. We need to connect ag back to our urban friends. There's been too much of an onslaught of anti-agriculturism out there, and it's really counterintuitive when you think about it, because we have to grow our own food, right? We can't really rely on other countries to grow our food for us. I don't think we should anyway. And so I think there's been a big anti-production agriculture movement out there, and some of that's warranted, I think, but there's a lot of family farmers out there. This valley's made up mostly of family farms, and we need to support those folks because they're growing the food and fiber for us, So that show, I hope, connects people to that in a different way, than the typical on the nose, here's how the crop is grown kind of thing. We get into more of the humanity of being an agriculturalist. So I think, in our travel show, Outside Beyond the Lens, I'm really proud of that show. A lot of people don't realize this. Outside Beyond the Lens has won 2 Emmy Awards. It airs nationally across PBS stations. It's in 300 markets. It's in almost 90% carriage of the United States right now. People are loving this show all over the place, and we make it right here in Fresno.
It's amazing.
It's really cool. I mean, it's such a great success story. It actually airs in 7 countries internationally now. Disney just bought it to air on their property in Spain, on their properties in Spain. So, Outside Beyond the Lens, if you haven't watched it on Tuesday nights at 7.
Tuesdays at 7.
It's a great travel show. Myself, David Boomer, Zach Allen, we travel internationally. We go all across the world.
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah.
You were just somewhere, weren't you?
I was in Tennessee last week filming that show.
Wow. See,
yeah.
there you go.
So we travel along. We go to Iceland. We've been to Switzerland, New Zealand, Australia. We go and places around here, and it's a really fun, laid back sort of travel log show. It's a show about making a travel show.
Yeah.
It's not a travel log. It's not a pure travel log show where we just, hey, here's this beautiful rock formation, and here's this beautiful city that you were in Europe. It's not that. It's the why we go to these places is to photograph them cinematically, because when you think about it, photography is the language of travel. When we travel or go somewhere, we communicate that experience with our friends and family through photographs.
That's right.
And so we made this show about that. So it's a show about 3 guys going to photograph places, and then we kind of break the fourth wall and turn the camera back on ourselves as all the unplanned stuff happens. We might meet the guy who's a local fisherman that says, "What are you guys doing?" "Well, we're filming this really pretty travel show." "Well, I'm going fishing tomorrow. Jump in the boat with me." "Heck yeah." And then we turn the cameras on us getting in the boat with the guy and going fishing. So it's a cool show.
Okay, so we've got about a minute left.
Yeah.
We could talk for an hour
Yeah.
about stuff.
I get that with you and me.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's watching today or say on our replay and they're thinking, "Hey, I have an idea for Valley PBS," are you guys open to that as well?
We are now, and I don't feel like the station was doing a good job of that before. As someone who was an independent producer trying to break into that door, I saw. I was frustrated with that a bit.
You saw the red tape.
I saw that, and so one of the things that we've done already in the first 2 months I've been in there is I've had meetings with several independent producers that we've already greenlit one great little documentary that a local filmmaker was doing here on the big trees. Yeah, and so yes is the answer to that. The best way to contact us is to simply call into the station or go to our website. When you go to valleypbs.org, there's really good traffic in there for how to contact the station, and then once you and then that'll find its way to me. And we're gonna work on making, especially for content providers, people who have a great idea. I want people to feel like PBS is their station, and and then one of the other initiatives that we're trying to really work here is we are the PBS station for Bakersfield. People don't realize that the PBS footprint for Valley PBS goes all the way down to Bakersfield, and the station hasn't done a good enough job of making Bakersfield part of our family. And so that's one of the things I'm really dedicated to, and so we're going to be working hard on that too.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, lots to come.
Lots to come.
You're just getting started.
And I need some sleep.
Yeah, I know.
Because I got a lot to do.
Yeah, I know.
This weekend I'm going to go get some sleep.
Good. It's 4th of July weekend.
That's right.
So
That's
thank
right.
you, Jeff. That was a fun conversation.
Thanks for having me on.
Come back anytime. As you have more updates and
Absolutely.
you're launching new shows, I'd love to, get the story out for you
Thank
as
you
well.
for that.
So
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
take care.
Thank you.
I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We're back with another live local guest coming up in just a couple of minutes. Hang tight.